Hello, I'm doing this reading here for you with the medicine cards. The medicine cards were put together by Jamie Sams and David Carson. It's a illustrated deck of cards here with different animals, and each animal obviously has tons and tons of lessons to learn, tons of different behaviors and energies that you can think about. The point here is, during this reading here, to give you an idea of what's the most relevant to your situation, and to ask these individual energies to come into your life in different ways, to kind of accept and look out for those energies. Try and focus on ones that will bring you closer to your goals and your desires, because that's really what's going to make your experience here a lot of fun. And that's, I think, what everybody's out to get. So for your first question here, you mentioned you are looking at 3 different kinds of options here. One in HR, one in project management, and tourism management. HR is also another management. So you wanted to really see, what your calling is for. I would say first spots, general thoughts here that pop into my head here. HR management seems like a lot of these options that you're choosing involve people. So I'm going to go with the fact that you've presented me a couple of different options that all really involve working in a group dynamic. Working with lots of people obviously is something you like doing. So for the first one, I'm going to go look at HR management. I'm going to pull a couple of cards and see what they say about HR. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one card to really look at what you might say is a point of conflict, or you might say something that is something that you will experience as a negative aspect, and it's important to think about, like, not necessarily what is bad so much as it's something that you're going to have difficulty really perceiving as good. So just kind of keep that in mind. We all want to try and find ways of turning our opportunities into fuel for what we're trying to accomplish while we're here. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull first cards for HR here. First one being the one that I consider to be what you think is going to be great about this experience. And then the other one is going to be more like something that you may experience as a difficulty or a challenge. So here, let's see. My first instinct here with the dolphin is I'm gonna say dolphins are great with language, right? Like, that just kind of pops into my head. I think HR for you is really going to challenge your communication skills with people, and I think you're going to really enjoy that. That's something that you can possibly get into and get passionate about, maybe working with other people in ways that challenges how you share your thoughts and how you share your input into other people's lives. In HR, it's challenging to really come to people's level and meet them where they're at and try and help them in the most effective way. And it's going to be something I think you'll probably enjoy with language. I'm going to check out their general statements and see what I get from it. So give me one sec. Yeah, I think the benefits obviously here are a real ability to be in the moment, because these kinds of work with other people in human resources, you're empowering people to really find a connection in their career, find a sense of place, a sense of belonging, and you're kind of like the liaison, you know. So I'm gonna say this is an opportunity for you to really check in with yourself, handle your emotions, because the ups and downs that might come with that kind of a job, your emotions will naturally be resolved. Any tension or hesitation that you feel for this career right now, think about how it's going to teach you how to handle situations that might be stressful to some people in a calm manner, to find like an inner peace, to find a place to move from naturally as a result of the challenges that happen at this job. And I would say for what you might consider to be the negative, I want to say that with quotes, the negative kind of aspect that you may find challenges with, and may have to eventually come to terms with being an aspect that you see as it's just not going to budge, you know, so much. I would say with the ant, I know that there is yeah, that's what I thought. I would say the only warnings I'm getting I see. So far, I think this is about drama. Getting caught up in small issues, making big issues out of small issues. They say, so to speak, making a big deal. Ant hills and all of that. I think what it's trying to say is you might experience in this line of work an issue with getting stuck in small pictures sometimes. Try to remind yourself of the big picture when you think of the challenges of this job. You may want to take that into account when you finally actually get a job that you like and you want to keep. If it's in the HR field, maybe consider finding and setting aside time ahead, like before you start working that job. Find a way to carve out time for yourself so that you feel like you get the big picture, so that you feel like this job doesn't create drama for you, that you can separate your work and your life. That's what I've got so far for HR management. The next one I see is project management, and we got here what you might consider the ups, and so to speak, what you're going to feel is the downs. So far, what jumps out to me is the armadillo. I get the feeling that the armadillo's energy here is trying to talk to your sense of boundaries. Obviously, armadillos are armored, right? So they have a really strong sense of boundaries. And for it to be on, like, kind of like what you're feeling is going to be a negative experience for you, maybe working in project management is gonna cause issues for you feeling like you really get to be yourself. Working in a team can often, especially if you're doing teamwork on a regular basis and you don't ever really feel like you're, as an artist or as a creator of whatever it is that you're trying to do in this life, if you feel like you're not able to really do it exactly how you like it, sometimes project management can kind of make expressing your boundaries and being yourself difficult, because you really do have to think about the team. You have to think about common goals. You have to think about where everybody really does their best, and that's something that takes keen talent, by the way. So like, your interest in this kind of field is one where you're trying to really see the value in people. You're really trying to plug them in places where you feel they'll do the best, and to also grow yourself, to really grow yourself into a person who can grow other people too, you know. So I'm gonna check out what I'm getting though from the armadillo, just to check it out. Yeah, I think it's kind of getting confirmation here. It's saying like, don't be afraid. Like, in this kind of work with project management, you want to keep in mind, is this something you want to do? Because sometimes you may feel like you aren't getting protection of the things you consider to be important or sacred. It's also important to think in this job, if you're looking at managing projects, you may end up taking the brunt of blame or responsibility for things that don't go the way that they're planned. And as a result, you may end up taking on a personal sense of failure. And in a line of work like that, having proper boundaries is very, very important. So just kind of think about this. If you're going into this line of work because it's something that you really want, this is a downside. Like, make sure that you prepare for that. Really feel like you're comfortable with your sense of boundaries. You're okay with failure. You know who you are. You don't need to have certain accomplishments or you know, so to speak, degrees, etc., etc., to be who you are. Let that really speak for itself. You know, let you be yourself. For the other one, the turkey, yeah, that's what I thought. This project for you, project management, is really going to give to you a sense of accomplishment through other people. Being able to really empower people and draw the best out of them is something that you're going to really feel a real big, deep sense of like accomplishment and fulfillment. People will directly feel that from you. You'll be in a real visible situation where people can really see how you're bringing it all together. It'll be very tangible for other people to see the influence that you have in their life. That's a very significant reward for some people. So take that into account too when you're considering project management. Okay, so for tourism management, we get the fox for what you might consider to be the good sides of it, and the turtle for what you might consider to be the downsides of it. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say, obviously, I think you probably know this yourself too. A fox is clever, right? So I would say if you're looking for what you're really gonna feel great about at this job, I'm gonna say it's your ability to really blend in, to feel like at one with your surroundings. And I think tourism in general, like in the sense, makes me think this card is trying to tell you that the reason for wanting to do tourism is the idea that you feel connected with a lot of different kinds of people, that you would really feel a positive thing, a positive aspect of this job or major would be like your ability to really connect with a variety of people, to experience culture, to experience different states of mind and different frames of mind from different locations and trying different things. Like, you really like variety, you know? And if that's what you're going for, this reward is going to be really great. Your ability to blend in and really see what life is like with other people. It's going to be a really great reward for you. For the other one, the turtle. Yeah, that's what I thought, unfortunately. Yeah, okay. So, it's not really that unfortunate. I would say, yeah. So the only issue is, I'm saying this card. I'm just realizing. Yeah. Okay, so this was a clear message. It's saying the cards are even talking to me. I think sometimes it's fine. The message about the turtle is pretty clear. This is talking about the environment. The downside of this job is maybe you're going to see in tourism a lot of waste. The turtle really focuses on, are you being connected with the earth? Are you really sharing in the responsibilities of like kind of like the whole system? And tourism, as a result of like how much traffic and how much variety you're going to be moving people around, where they'll be buying lots of things, sharing cultures, sometimes you can feel like there's waste. And so it's telling that the turtle card is saying maybe to consider, when if you're going to go into this industry, to really be conscious of how the industry can create waste. Find ways beforehand, before getting into this. Find ways of proposing a way of doing this kind of business in tourism in ways that can really balance the way that we interact with the environment. Try and find ways that make you not feel so guilty about it, so to speak. Give back, and make sure that you really feel like, if it ever pops into your head, that you find a way to address it. Don't let it get out of hand, because that guilt is going to really eat at you. And that's not an experience that you're really going to enjoy. So by giving you a heads up, obviously the cards are trying to help you out. So just try and check out, keep an eye out for it. And otherwise, this is going to be really great. You're going to have a chance to really connect with a lot of people and have a lot of fun. I think this is probably one of your more, like, so to speak, exciting options, right? Sorry, I put those in the wrong spot. Okay. Now, this is going to be just a general reading, which I'm putting together just right now. So first of all, the Buffalo to me is just it's a great card to get right now. I mean, the first card right off the bat is telling you, don't worry. There's so much abundance. I don't know if you, in general, heard before the state of this species right now, this buffalo. There used to be tons of these guys everywhere, and in general, they were just a perfect sign of abundance and the fact that they were always going to be provided for. That the energy here is a sense of belonging in this great mystery, this great interesting and funny kind of universe. Sometimes you can get caught up in what these choices really mean for you. What does that say about you? These choices, sometimes we get hung up on like how our choices define us, but in reality, we should really just focus on being. And Buffalo really wants to remind us that by telling us, we shouldn't be scurrying around looking for stuff like we're running out of time. There's plenty to go around. You're always going to be safe. You're always going to be provided for. You should be considering, these other three options from a point of saying, like, how can you really give? Because you're always going to be provided for. When you think of the rewards and maybe some of the aspects that worry you or might worry you in the future, think more of a point of like, is this something where you really feel like you're in the proper state of mind to give in that way? And this is trying to tell you that you should be going where you feel like you're going to be able to give the most. That's the most important aspect when you're thinking about your career, Another thing here is reminding you to be mindful of innocence and fun, and forgetting about like adult problems, and really just focusing on being and enjoying your experience. Let's see. I'm just gonna double check. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this the porcupine is a reminder. This whole idea of looking for work, finding your place, picking certain degrees. You want to always go back to thinking about where the stress of this situation can come from for making these choices. Like, just be mindful of the stress. Try and make this decision from a position of playfulness and where you're really going to be having fun, because obviously it's going to make your work a lot easier to throw yourself into if you're having fun. The idea of making sacrifices for your job are going to make more sense because it's going to be fun. You know what I mean? So try and be chasing after that. And then for the final card here, the bat. Ooh. The bat is... The bat has some special meaning. Yeah, it's a confirmation. So, it's really talking about, the act of creation, the act of rebirth, the act of creation, a lot of times requires you to let go of what this process of creation is in general. I know that it sounds kind of like maybe a little contradictory, but like when you're creating, sometimes trying to stick to one person or personality, so to speak, or a character, sometimes we choose behaviors, we choose friends, we choose the place we want to live, we choose the career, we choose all these things, right? The bat is just reminding you that this isn't about what you're doing for the rest of your life. You're going to change. You're going to transform. The point is what do you think you're going to currently, for the moment, do the best and have the most impact in people's lives? Try and let go of these concepts of, like, say, a permanent solution or a permanent degree that, or a permanent job. This is about your experience here. So keep in mind when you're making these choices and going through life in general for the next couple of weeks, keep in mind that you're going to change. Your circumstances will change. The people that you surround yourself with will change. The goals that you have will change. You'll pick new goals. You'll come up with something new and more fun and more interesting and more challenging and greater, and gives you a greater sense of accomplishment, and you're going to continue to grow. So keep in mind, like, this is, in grand scheme of things, you're trying to think about, where you can, so to speak, do the most damage. You know what I mean? Get out there and really get excited. Think about how these talents and skills that you have in each of these areas that you mentioned earlier, how exactly, like, you feel engaged and like emotionally tied to these different kinds of jobs or degrees. And think about really how you're going to be supported. You're going to be supported no matter what, honestly. That's the buffalo's message. The porcupine's message is obviously that you just need to be yourself, and you're going to be supported. And that this process it's not going to be permanent. You're not going to be stuck with it. You're not going to be scarred for the rest of your life. This is just part of growing, and part of learning is sometimes you make choices, and failure is not something you should be focusing on. Everything is a learning experience. This is going to be part of you, and you'll get to take it with you where you're going next, So wherever you're going after, if for some reason you're not happy with it, etc., and you change your mind, then, so what? Now you change and you become a new person, and you take those learning experiences with you, and you're not worried about it anymore, So I'm going to pull one more card, and then that's going to be it. Yeah. So I think the blue heron at this point, I think if in this section, I guess you could say this stage of the reading, this is a time to really be introspective. I like to suggest that after you kind of turn off this reading, that you take some time to actually write down how you feel about this, to be introspective, to think about really what the whole situation is. Both the spiritual parts, the emotional parts, the physical, or you might say like logistical parts of this. Really put it all together, and that way, you can really sit there and think, what do I want? And everything will just fall into place. I would suggest, obviously, visually putting stuff together if you can. Visualizing things is always going to be helpful when it comes to making choices and manifesting the outcomes that you're interested in bringing into the 3D. But that's it. So thank you very much.